I've been learning a lot about philosophy lately, and I think Street Fighter kind of led me there, and wanting to be a competitor and make good videos and stuff like that. Just wanting to be successful, I guess, kind of led me there. But something really held my attention about the stuff that I was reading and watching. And I've read meditations, and I've watched a couple long college lectures about Stoicism, and I think it's very interesting. I'm not going to explain Stoicism to you today because I know that's not really what people are looking for here. But there's little bits of wisdom that come from that school of thought that I think very much apply to your life and very much apply to playing any video game or competing in anything or just trying to get better at something. That could be super helpful. And I think it's just helpful to get you in the right state of mind. A lot of the times when I start making these type of videos, I'm talking about how I'm thinking, or I start diving into philosophy and schools of thought and psychology. It's mostly fueled by me just being sad, me just not being happy with the way things are going, or being in a rut and trying to get out of it. And I just am stubborn, so I start looking for answers everywhere that I can. And luckily I'm in an age where I can just Google it. I can just Google this is how I'm feeling, and I can read about it and read studies and read about how people dealt with it 3,000 years ago. People in power, guys who essentially ruled the world, and how they dealt with it 3,000 years ago. And me sitting at my computer, I can't deal with losing in a video game, right? It puts things into perspective, and it gives you a way to move forward. To get into it a little bit, there's two main pillars of Stoicism as I understand it. One is the virtues, which is a whole nother thing. We're not really going to talk about it today. Those are things like wisdom and justice and courage and temperance. Those are kind of your four pillars, and that's really what you strive for in life, is to be a virtuous person. That's a whole nother topic that you can learn from someone much smarter than me. The second pillar is really where I think we can find some useful things, which is the dichotomy of control, which essentially just says that some things we control, and there are some things that we do not control, and we should not worry about the things that we cannot control. And that part about not worrying about things that we cannot control is usually the only thing that gets communicated when you think about Stoicism, right? You think somebody who is a Stoic is somebody who just doesn't feel anything, and that's really not the case. It's just one part of the greater school of thought. And I think sometimes that makes people come across a little bit cold. There's a famous story about Xenophon, who is I think a Greek military leader and philosopher. And when his son died, he said, "I knew my son was immortal." He knew that his son was going to die, and he really had no feelings towards it. But that's a very extreme example. But how does any of this help you with fighting games? Well, it all relates to that second point still. Some things are just not up to us. Some things we cannot control. And one of those things are outcomes. And what is the most obvious outcome in fighting games? It's whether you win or lose. It causes you so much happiness or so much grief. It makes you play the game more, or it stops you from playing the game. And it just causes a lot of problems for a lot of people, including myself. And even your favorite players deal with the effects of wins and losses. Even in Daigo's book, the Will to Keep Winning, he has an entire paragraph where he talks about playing for growth and how he stopped caring about outcomes. He specifically says that. He says, "I stopped caring about the outcomes of my matches." And that's a sentiment that I see in so many different books and different videos and things that I watch about these kind of topics, is that having a level of detachment from the outcome is what leads to the most success and the most happiness. And you're probably thinking well, that's great and all, but what is the lesson? Can you give me what I came here for? And the lesson is, winning or losing a match is not within your control. You literally do not control whether you win or lose the game, which sounds insane. And when I first heard this idea, I thought it was insane too. I was well, if I don't control who wins, then who the hell is controlling whether I win or lose? But like I said, humans been roaming the earth for a long time now, and they have figured out most of these things. In fact, there's a whole metaphor for this, and it's from Cicero, where he talks about the archer. And he says that you can get the best bows, you can get the best arrows, you can train archery forever, and you can have the utmost amount of focus up until you let go of the arrow. And once you let go of the arrow, it's no longer in your control. The bow is in your control. The art of archery in your head, and as you know it, is under your control, and your focus is under your control. But the arrow, once you let it go to hit the target, is not under your control, because the wind can take it, a bird can fly in front of it, a person can jump in front of it. The arrow is not under your control. And so whether that arrow hits the target or not is not something you should worry about. You did everything that you could to make sure that the arrow hit the target, and once you let go of it, that's it. You don't attach your self-esteem to whatever that outcome is. You live with the thought that you've done your best and nothing else could have been done, and things are not up to you anymore, so you shouldn't worry about them. But what does that look like in Street Fighter, and what does it look like for me over the past week? You know, it's been a couple days since I've uploaded a video, and I've been really trying to live that life, bro. I've been really trying to put my money where my mouth is and live the things that I preach. And how it manifests in Street Fighter is I have full control over my character. I have full control over the art of Street Fighter as it exists in my head, and everything that I know about the game in my head. And I have like matchup knowledge. Those are the 3 things that I can control within the game. But what I don't control is whether I win or lose. If I did, I would just log on the game and press the win button 100 times and then I go to sleep. But I don't control the servers. I don't control my opponent's connection. I don't control whether they're gonna rage quit on me. I don't control how they play the game. I could try to, but I can't. I could check 16 raw drive rushes and the 17th comes out and can hit stand heavy punch and I take 60% from a critical art, brother. That's just the game. I don't control the meta, the character strength, who the other person chooses to play. I don't control any of that. All I can control is my character and my knowledge of the game and my level of focus. And so that leaves you thinking, well, if I don't control who wins, then who fucking does? I don't know. Capcom? Somebody higher than that? I have no idea who controls whether I win or lose. It's not my place to worry about. It's not my problem to worry about whether at the end of the game the servers are going to be stable enough to award me these little points or whether they're going to take my points away. It's not really our concern. It might sound like I'm coping, like blaming my losses on some external force, but even if it is, brother, it works. You should try it. And that kind of brings me to like my last point, which is Serenity. And this is an idea that I heard about in one of these lectures that I was watching. I think it was a TED Talk lecture. But it's the idea of walking through life happy as you've done your best and nothing else could have been done, right? You leave the outcome to whatever. You leave whether you won or you lost to whatever external force it is. But you have a good idea of what belongs to you and what does not. What you can control and what you cannot control. And in Street Fighter, for me, what this really looks like is like maybe in neutral, I'm playing against a Marissa, and I'm like whiff punishing Gladiuses, and I'm like, you know, anti-airing the Superman punch. I'm DIing the Superman punches. I'm doing everything correctly. Like everything that is under my control, my character and my character's actions, and all of the neurons in my brain are firing correctly. Everything that's under my control is going right. And then, I don't know, maybe there's a lag spike or something. Maybe something happens, the connection's bad, whatever, and Marissa does like back fears, drive rush combo, crazy shit into like 80%. And I die. Well, that was the gust of wind, brother. That was the gust of wind that hit the arrow. The connection messed up. I can't control that. I can't control the fact that Marissa does 80% off of a combo. And most of all, I didn't control whether I was awarded a win or a loss for that match. Anyways, that's my 8 minutes. I hope you enjoyed this one. Let me know in the comments if it was too rambly, if it didn't make sense, if it was incoherent, if I didn't do the idea justice. Let me know all that down in the comments below. Hope you enjoyed.